All right, welcome to the video today. We got a special treat for you. My good buddy Steve has been very generous to jump on and tell us about his success with getting retirement home gigs. So, Steve, thank you for coming on.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. I think the viewers are going to get a lot out of this one. You've been playing in an acoustic duo for how long
Uh, we're in our fourth year.
now? Okay, you guys play out pretty regularly, right?
Yeah, now we do. It wasn't always like that. When the first year we started out, I think we did a total of 9 gigs. Um, yeah, I think that was it, 9 gigs. And we didn't start at the beginning of the year, so it wasn't a full year. But then the following year, we did twice as many. I know there was like 18 or 20. And then last year, our third full year, we were pretty busy. We did 40 gigs. So I think on average, we probably play out 3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's an acoustic duo,
Mhm.
and that's you're talking bars and pubs, right? Private parties, things like that.
All of the above.
All right, so you got that going on. Now, how and when did you consider playing retirement home gigs? You stay pretty busy playing the bars and these other kinds of events. Retirement home gigs, a lot of people don't think about doing those.
Yeah, well, and I had never thought about where I really make my money is playing retirement homes. And that clicked in my head, but it was kind of a fleeting thought. I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder how the hell that you do that. But that's about as far as I went. And that was probably 2.5, 3 years ago. It was just a casual assignment, but that was the first time I ever heard about it. Um, I I didn't start really finding out more about it as a viable way to actually have gigs, have legitimate gigs until really earlier this year when well, talking to people like yourself that have had a lot of success with it. That's when I found out more about it.
All right, so you thought about it. What held you back from pulling the trigger?
I I had no idea where to start with that. Not knowing really how to handle it, what to say and there's a finite number of these venues out there. There's a lot of them. In my area, I identified at least 52 individual potential sites to play, um, which is quite a few, but it's still a finite number. And what I didn't want to do is start calling these people out of the blue and bungling my way through these phone calls and, basically eliminating some of them from an opportunity because I bungled the call. So I think what really stopped me from moving forward on it was I felt like I wanted a process that I could follow so that I would know what to say, what to expect from them. I didn't even know how long a gig like that would be. I didn't know what kind of material to prepare. I think, in fact, some of the preconceived ideas I had in my head were wrong. And so I didn't want to go off half cocked. You know what I mean? That was kind of the whole thing.
Right. So you felt more comfortable once you had more information and knowing what more to expect, felt more comfortable going after them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Once I felt like I actually had an idea, a structure to what I was going to do, a strategy, if you will, um, then I was very comfortable going for it. I just lacked the confidence to move on it until I didn't want to mess them up. I didn't want to go out there and ruin half of my chances by by being an idiot.
Well, we're unprepared,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, what if you had to pick one thing that made you decide to do it? To say, okay, I'm going after these. If you had to pick one thing, what would it be?
Probably the real determining factor for me was the potential for additional income and to play more, and how rewarding it was, not only financially, but just in being able to play and playing for an audience that, number one, really appreciates it. And secondly, they're not critical of your performance. It's not like you're doing an open mic where you're playing in front of other musicians. It's not like you're playing in a pub and you're concerned that, your performance is going to be evaluated. These are folks that really appreciate you being there. It's like playing for friends.
Yeah. Would you say
And
that it's easier to get these kind of gigs than bars and pubs?
oh, absolutely. And yeah, they're a hell of a lot easier to get these gigs. There's far less competition. I don't think as many people even know there's a market. I don't think they see it as a potential as potential venues.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of musicians were always geared towards the bars from an early age. That's what we
Hmm.
want to play, bars and pubs, and those are great gigs. I still play.
Oh, sure, we do too.
But boy, what a great additional bunch of income.
I mean, you and I have talked about this. It's really an untapped resource, or I should say an undertapped resource. I won't say there's no competition out there, but it's nothing like when you go into a pub.
Um, you and I worked a little bit together one on one. So let's talk about your results. What were the numbers after your first week of calls? Do you remember how many phone calls you made the first week out?
I do. That first week, I made 11 calls. But so of I ended up really connecting with seven decision makers, if you will, actual people that were in a position where they could, book me if they chose to.
Right. So out of 11, how many gigs did you book?
Out of the seven people that I actually made contact with, I've gotten four gigs, four separate venues. Those have actually turned into more gigs than that because of some repeat bookings, but four
Yep.
individual venues booked me from those seven contacts.
Yeah, and that was in 1 week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it was in one day. I made those calls in one day.
It
Um,
wasn't one of them. Didn't they ask you to play once a month for the rest of the year?
yeah, and that's what I was getting at. That I got booked within a week's period of time. I played three venues. The fourth one came a little bit later, um, but the first place I played when I finished, she approached me and said, we do this every week." And I'll tell you a little bit about the venues too, but she said they do it every week, and she wanted to know if I would come and play regularly once a month and rotate with a couple of the other people that she uses. So at the end of that gig, I walked out of that place having a very successful gig, feeling really good about it, and getting six more bookings because I
Yeah.
played for her in June and she booked me once a month, the last Tuesday of every month for the rest of the year. So July through December. And then she subsequently emailed me the dates for confirmation. So I
Yeah.
literally got seven gigs out of that one. And I had that as I walked out of the place. Third venue that I played basically did the same thing. She booked while they brought me my check at the end of the performance. I was packing up my gear, and she approached me and said, "Can you play that same date the following month?" I said, "Sure." And then I mentioned, "If you'd like, I'd be happy to come back once a month." And she's totally amenable to that. We haven't finalized the dates, but that was one gig that turned into a minimum of two because I'm already booked
Right.
for a repeat there.
Yeah. I
So
wanna I wanna clarify that that doesn't happen all the time, but it's very possible, obviously, because you've done it,
yeah,
that it can happen that quickly sometimes.
yeah, and that kind of brings me back to your earlier point about being easier to get. I don't think there is such a uh, glut of musicians out there vying for these gigs that they have all the choice in the world. When they have somebody come in that kind of checks all the boxes for them, they're like, we bring that person in. And if they
Yep.
can book you on a regular basis, they will. And I was obviously completely open to that. Makes it
Oh,
a lot
sure.
easier. Because now that's a gig, and that's another point about being easy. That's a gig I don't have to try to get next month. I've already
Yep.
got that one, and so forth.
Yeah, you start stockpiling those, you may not have to call anybody anymore.
That's kind of the goal. I'd like to get
Yeah.
to where I have a regular time and place for, you know, as many of these as I can get.
Sure. Yeah, the less phone calls you have to make, the better. You just have to make them in the beginning. Get your
Yeah,
name out there a little bit. But
yeah.
are you happy with the results?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. I mean, they're the easier gigs to get. You can really beat your head against the wall trying to get into pubs.
Yeah.
We've done it and we've got a few regulars and, that pays off, but we've been doing it for 4 years too. So it takes time. Like I said, that first year was 9 gigs and we only got 18 the second year. So it's more money than you get playing a gig in a pub. You know, at least if you break it down by the hour. These are normally 1 hour gigs. I've got one that's an hour and a half, but they're normally 1 hour gigs, and I'll earn better for my share in these 1 hour retirement home gigs than I do as half of a duo playing a 3 hour pub gig.
Yeah.
You can't you just can't beat it.
It's nice to have both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Get to
I
know.
intend to continue both.
Yeah, it's nice to have both. Now, do you feel that you would have generated these results by yourself without working with me at all? Like, would that have just happened?
Uh, no, and because like most people, you kind of want to have a process. You don't want to go stumbling into the dark on your own. And I know for a fact it wouldn't happen because it didn't happen. I didn't do it until, in fact, it didn't happen immediately working with you. It happened because not only was I inspired because of your success doing it, but you did the thing that most people need, me included, that we, unless you're just a really self-motivated individual, most of us don't do, and that is hold yourself accountable. Where when there's somebody like you saying, "Okay, I need you to make these calls this week, report back next week on our call, let me know what they said, what you said, where you went with it," and there's a whole process designed around that. Um, there's tools. It's like anything else. If you really want to create something or build something or make something happen, you have to have the tools to do it. You provide those tools. I didn't have those tools. I had an idea, and it wasn't even my idea. It was an idea from listening to other people. Uh, Play retirement homes. It's a great source of income. You can make money. Blah blah blah. Yeah, all that's true.
Yep.
But okay, so what do I do next? And yeah, you can pick up the phone and you can bungle your way through it, and you might land one here and there. But you also might poison the well a little bit along the way. And now it's hard to go back to those places and say, I'm actually not silly. I actually do this for real, and I'm worthy of getting booked there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stumble in like that. I wanted to have a good plan that I knew worked. And I'm one of those people that doesn't like to argue with success. If I see somebody has come up with a process or a way of doing something that I can learn from, I don't care who that is. I'll take that. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Um,
Yeah, reinventing the wheel is no fun.
no, and it's unnecessary. The
Yeah.
wheel's
Yeah.
already there. Look at it's kind of on a smaller scale. It's kind of the same way that McDonald's built success. They found a way to make something that worked, and then let's just keep doing that over and over and over again.
Yep.
And some 80 years on, it still works for them.
Yeah. It's a good point. Yep. All right.
You went through all the hard work. You figured out exactly who to call, when to call, what to say, and how to follow up. All of the processes that are needed from start to finish, including how to play the gig once you're there, and how to behave, what to say to these people, how to engage, all of that stuff. That's all. It's a gold mine, and it makes a big difference. And it made me comfortable, and that takes some doing for people that know me. You made me comfortable going in there and getting these gigs and then playing the gigs, and it's paying off in spades. I've been doing it for a very short period of time, but the success has been off the charts.
Yeah, getting the gig is one thing. Then you gotta play it.
Yeah,
You gotta talk to these people. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. Yeah, I got a lot of blood under my fingernails. I didn't have this. I learned it the
Mhm.
hard way and thought, boy, thank goodness I documented everything along the way, so somebody else doesn't have to make the mistakes I made.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
No, it's been very helpful.
on the last note, what would you tell someone who is considering playing retirement homes, but maybe they're still unsure or they're still on the fence? What would you tell
Well, I would tell them that they should pursue it. I mean, it's obviously rewarding. It's rewarding financially. It's a good feeling playing for these folks. They really appreciate it, and they're sweet, sweet folks.
them?
I've never had a bad experience. Um, there's no reason not to. If you're on the fence about doing it, it's probably for the same reason I was, and that is you just don't know what to do next. And you know, obviously I'm biased. I think they should call somebody like you and find the step-by-step process to get into it because it's quicker than you think, and before you know it, you'll be doing it, and it's very repeatable. The
Yeah,
success is very repeatable. So I would say do that. That's the easiest way.
yeah, yeah. Just how fast you want to accomplish it. That's what it
How
comes down
fast you
to.
want to accomplish it, and how many of those venues you want to preserve as viable potential venues to play.
Right,
Um,
like you said earlier, don't poison the
yeah,
well because you don't know what to do or say.
exactly. And honestly, I had some preconceived ideas that were totally off the mark. Um, I thought it was, for one, I thought it was going to be a very laid back affair. They're going to want real easy listening. I was going to be a human muzak machine, and that is 180 degrees opposite. And that's probably the first biggest thing that I got from you. It's like, oh no, these people want to rock out, you
Yeah,
know.
they really do.
They really do. Those that can get up and dance,
Oh
or
yeah,
they're sitting in their chairs dancing, or they're clapping along, singing along. You
yeah,
know, for folks that play in pubs, as I do, um, it's an odd feeling because not all pub gigs are real barn burners where you're sitting in there and everybody's just making a lot of noise and having a good time. A
right.
lot of pub gigs, it's almost like playing in a small restaurant where it's kind of quiet. People are talking, they're eating, they're having a drink. They're not really paying close attention to you. You're very much in the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Um, that is not the case here. They're paying attention, they're loving it, and they're really engaged. And it's a great feeling. As a musician, it's very, um, I don't know, rewarding is the term that keeps coming to mind.
It is
I,
rewarding.
I highly recommend it.
It's fulfilling. It's there's just a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah,
You know?
and they get a lot out of it too. They really do. And one of the places I played was actually a retirement apartment complex where they offer varying degrees of assistance, including no assistance to people that are just of a certain age that want to live with other folks of that age, and they have a
Yep.
big community room downstairs. Um, they the people that own and run these places see great value in providing that to their residents. They really do, and
Well,
and
it's
they have the
scientifically
money.
proven that music helps everybody. Yeah,
So
it's these people love it. They just do.
yeah,
So it's and there's a lot of different branches to this tree. Like you mentioned, there's memory care, there's assisted living, there's nursing homes, there's so many different kinds of these facilities out there.
hmm
The communities, the one you play in, I think you said what 160 people in this complex. That's a lot of units.
yeah,
And they have parties, they have get-togethers, they have holiday parties, they have birthday parties. There's so many things that all of these places do that once you're on their list and you're the go-to performer for them, guess who's getting that call?
yeah. And you and I've talked about this. So far, all I've been playing are basically their regular weekly or monthly entertainment type of things. But you hit the nail on the head. There's special events that these folks do that they put together that it could last a little longer. You could charge a little more for. You've got holiday shows for Christmas and Halloween. They kind of like to party,
Yeah,
and good on them. I hope to be that active and interested when I'm their age,
you're
which
not
won't
kidding.
be too much longer.
Yeah,
But
I'm already
but
shopping for a room. I'm looking around
yeah,
while I'm there.
that's another benefit is you can kind of get an idea,
Yeah,
scope
you get an
out the
idea where
place.
you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But generally the people that are attending these performances are in, good enough shape that they're getting something out of it. You're not in a hospital room singing to people in a bed. It's not
Right.
like that. So it's generally, I would say it is not a sad environment because that was a concern of mine too, not knowing what I was getting into. I thought, well,
Sure.
gee, is this going to be something that makes me feel bad? But it really doesn't. It really doesn't. In fact, it's the opposite. You feel pretty good. I can't tell you the number of people when you finish playing. You're there for an hour, and when you're finished, I'm telling you, and you know more about this than I do, but at the end of the performance, you start unplugging and putting stuff away, and a whole stream of people will come up to you and tell you how much they enjoyed it. Oh yeah, I remember that song. I used to play that, or I used to sing with my father. I had a lady that said, "Oh, you did," and I forget what song I played. She goes, "Oh yeah, I remembered that song because my dad used to play a little guitar, and he always played that one." And this
Yep.
kind of stuff. So it's actually quite uplifting. It's not sad. And the first place I played, which was probably not indicative of all of them, but the first place I played was a pretty high end facility. It had to be a very expensive place to stay. It was like a country club, and um, they do a wine tasting weekly with live music, and that's what I played. And they also weekly on a different night do a happy hour, which I thought, isn't that kind of the same thing? And she assured me it is not. The wine tasting, she said, is going to be a little more laid back, and them sitting around drinking wine and chatting, whereas the happy hour is a little more raucous affair. They usually will dance and so forth. So she booked me for the first one. She said, "Well, let's see how it goes. See what you like." And I played the wine tasting, and hell, they were dancing like crazy. So I don't
Yeah.
know that there is a difference between the two, but yeah, they were dancing like crazy.
Just another excuse to drink another day.
Yeah, and it's surprising. I mean, honestly, I don't. It felt like going to an office party more than at least the old office parties when they were fun.
Right. Right.
But it reminded me more of that than playing for a nursing home or something like that. They were just older folks.
That's all.
Um, that's all it was. So your music selection has to be consistent with what is appropriate for those folks too. What they're
Sure.
used, what the stuff that they grew up on, and that's something that you get into in a lot more detail. Song selection and so forth, and that's very helpful because when you hit, you can just tell when you start playing a song that is the right song. They let you know, man.
Yeah.
I get more whoops and hoots and hollers than I ever do playing in a bar.
Yeah. It's not anything like a lot of people think it'll be.
Not at all.
They're a lot of fun, and a lot of times I have more fun in there than the bars I play at most of the time.
Oh, no question, no question. Here's something that, just from a practical standpoint, that I find very beneficial. I'm 67 years old, and I still get around just fine, but lugging equipment is heavy, and
Yep.
I've even said before that, when you're paid to play music, they're paying you to carry that stuff in and carry it out. The music I do for free, but lugging the gear around is really what they need to compensate me for.
Yep.
But these retirement home gigs, much, much more streamlined process. I literally can walk in on one trip carrying the gear that I need to play there.
Yeah.
It's not like a typical pub gig that I play with my partner, where there's PAs and lights and multiple guitars and just on and on processing boxes and things. You're going in with your instrument, a microphone, a stand, and a speaker.
Yeah.
I use a powered speaker because you're not going to blow the doors off the place. Even the ones that have good sized community rooms where if you feel like you're in a pub, you're still not playing at the volume levels that you are in a pub.
Yep.
You don't need 1,000 watt PA. You
No.
just don't. In fact, I would highly recommend against something like that. I think if you walked in with a PA like
Yeah.
that, you'd scare the hell out of them.
Yeah, they may not like that.
They
But
would
yeah, you don't
probably
need
not.
very much. Don't
You
need
really
much
don't.
equipment at all.
Yeah. So that's been another real nice thing. All in all, it's just so much easier. And plus, from my experience being in a duo most of the time, and I've said this before, I don't know how people do it in bands when there's three, four, five people. That's hard.
Sure.
I'm in a duo. There's two of us, and typically between us, there's at least three opinions.
Right.
So then the beauty of doing solo work, especially this kind of solo work, is it's probably the least complicated thing in music that you can do.
Yeah.
It really is. You're in and you're out. Everybody loves you. They pay too.
They
You
pay.
know, not only do they pay well for the amount of time you put into it, but they actually pay. You
Yep.
know,
You don't have to
it's
fight
not,
for it.
you don't have to fight for it. Pubs, at least where I'm from and from my experience, they notoriously are on a shoestring. They're always this close to not making it. And
Right.
there's times when if you don't get your money right away, you're going to play hell getting it at all.
Yeah.
And that's generally not the case you see with these places. They make a lot of money. They're very much a for-profit industry, um, and they don't mind spending it.
No, they've got
You
the
know,
budgets, and they're happy that there's musicians like us willing to come in there and make the residents happy. You can only
yeah,
play bingo for so many days in a row. You
yeah.
need some live entertainment.
They're valuable to them. They're valuable to you as a customer, but you're also very valuable to them. I
Yeah, it's
I,
always a
I
great
love it.
relationship.
It really is. That's really the best deals, right? The best deals are when they're good for both sides.
Yeah,
A one-sided good deal really isn't
that's not a
very
good
good.
deal. It's got to
No,
be a
it's really
win-win.
not. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
So
good stuff. Right.
yeah.
Well, that's going to do it. So, Steve, I can't thank you enough for coming on and telling us your story and letting us know how you're setting it on fire. I appreciate the time,
Yeah.
and I'm sure the viewers get a lot out of it. So, I'll be
Happy
talking
to
to you
do it.
soon.
Happy to do it, Tom. Yeah, and thank you because honestly, this is all made possible because of, like I said, you gave me about 50% inspiration and 50% good swift kick to get out there and actually do it because you knew what was in store for me once I got out there.
And I knew
You
you'd enjoy it.
everything that I've told you is something you already knew was going to happen. And as soon as I got out there and did it, so I appreciate you kind of creating that vision in my head to begin with, and then giving me the tools I needed to make it happen. That makes a difference.
It's what I try to do.
All right.
Great.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, Steve. We'll talk
See
to you
you
soon.
later.
All right.
Bye.